Hi and welcome along to week 9 of the Potteries Fly Tying Club beginners classes. This week we're going to be working with some cul de canard CdC. Okay, in the vise I've got a Partridge dry fly hook, an SLD2, size 14. I've decided it's on a size 14, although I'd normally tie it on something slightly smaller than that. I'm tying it on that just for the purposes of the video. Okay, and my thread this week is a Semperfly pre-waxed pale olive in 12-0. That's it's just a little bit of a finer thread for this relatively small dry fly. So first off, if you pop on about 2mm of thread and then snip your end off. Okay, then you want to get yourself for this size probably 4 CdC plumes. What I'm going to do is line up the tips so that they look something like that. So I've got the 4 plumes all laid on top of each other. I tend to lay them 2 one way and then 2 facing in, so the concaves face each other, so it just gives it a little bit more chance to trap the air within the wing. Okay, turn this round in your fingers so that you're pointing that way with it. And what you want is about the length of the hook, something like that. At your tie-in point. Okay, pinch and loop, just make sure that's on top of right on top of the thread. Right on top of the shank, sorry. Don't let it spin around, so you'll see now we've got that sitting something like that. And when you get a little bit further down the shank, what you need to do is cut this off. But if you cut this off at an angle, like that, you won't get a definite lump in the shank, and what will happen is it will taper down quite nicely and quite naturally. So as you start working down now, what you'll see is I start to get quite a natural taper forming. I can just build that up a little bit just to take the edge off that taper. Okay, bring your thread back up to where you tied in. Now what you need to do now is lift your feather fibres back, CdC fibres back, and build a small sort of dam in front of this area. What that will do is that will make your fibres stand up like so. Okay, when you're ready, you can just pop one in behind. You can actually position your fibres really quite well to sit really nicely on top of the hook. Okay, I'm going to come down towards the tail of the fly, which would be more or less opposite the barb. Now what I'm going to put in for this is a few fibres of coq de Leon, CDL. Okay, it comes on a feather, looks something like that, and you just want to pull them back off the stalk so that the tips are lined. Okay, and then take them off the stem itself. Okay, and we want again about the length of the body, sticking behind the fly. Pop that on. And make sure they sit on top, like so. Okay, you'll see there now that we're starting to get that really nice natural taper forming within the fly. And you get to the point a couple of millimeters from the plume of CdC fibres. Just snip all those off. Okay. Again, work on that taper a little bit just to make that taper just sit really nicely without adding too much weight to the fly. The threads, the thread turns are relatively light. All in all. Okay, and now what I'm going to put on now is some Wapsi superfine dry fly dubby, and I'm going to go with a sort of olivey colour, maybe a dark olive, something like that. But this superfine is really nice for dry flies. It's supposedly waterproof. It just makes a really nice sort of dry fly look. Okay, it's a nice fine body on there. And as you can see, you can start to see that taper forming now where I've built this fly up. Okay, and then when you get to the thorax, I like to just put something a little bit slightly different in colour in. Maybe something a little bit lighter just for the little bit that sits underneath the thorax. But basically, this is your finished fly here. There's not a great deal more that we're actually going to do to this fly. Okay, a couple of turns behind, a couple of turns in front. Form yourself a little tiny head. And we're just going to drop a whip finish in there. Now with the whip finish, if you've got a thread holder, it makes it much easier to get actually and pull those fibres back as you do the whip finish. Okay, now because this is a dry fly and I'm not putting any varnish on the head, I'm just going to put another whip finish in as well. Again, just hang the thread, take it up to that point there. Okay. Slice that thread off nice and close. And there we go. That's the CdC. That's a CdC olive. Shouldn't really need to do much with the CdC while you're fishing it. Just need to give it a dry off if you do take a fish on it, because the slime does tend to clog up the CdC a little bit. Thank you.